Hello and welcome to AIFF interview with Luke Jarvis, the filmmaker of Salesmen. My name is April Rank, the Executive Director of the Arlington International Film Festival, and we are delighted to be able to talk with Luke about his film that has actually been awarded the AIFF Outstanding Local Filmmaker Award that's sponsored by High Output. And it's just delightful to be able to celebrate such creativity in filmmaking here in the greater Boston area. So Luke, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yes. So I'm curious, after you graduated high school, did you study filmmaking?
I did. I went to Bedford High School. So Bedford is just probably 15 minutes away from Arlington. And then I went to New York University and in their film program, and lived in New York for a number of years doing film production more on kind of the branded content side, and then moved back to the Boston area just a couple of years ago to pursue some more of my creative interests and try and get some of my own projects going.
So if I understand it, then a lot of the stuff you were doing was more commercial so that it could support projects like Salesmen?
Exactly.
Okay. And how I was really taken with the fact that there were 5 writers on this, and you were one of those 5.
Yes.
And 3 of them are your actors. How did that come to be that you all had such a large writing crew?
So since I came back to the Boston area, sort of the first thing I did was reconnect with Rob Pooley, who is one of the co-writers and somebody I grew up with in Bedford. And a longtime friend, and he has been very active in the comedy scene. He runs comedy shows around Boston, and we started just working with some of our favorite comedians. I was blown away by the talent here. I guess I'd had a little New York snobbery and a little New York bias from my time there, and I'd sort of, you can sometimes miss how much talent there is in our community, since it's not necessarily always showing up in TV shows and movies and things like that all the time. But we very quickly developed great relationships with several comedians in the Boston area who we thought were really talented. And we developed this shorthand, and we started discovering what we all found funny. So the project Salesmen really came together when COVID started. All of our individual work and projects was kind of drying up, and we decided this was the perfect time for us all to put our heads together and develop something that maybe we've been dreaming about doing for a while. So Will Noonan, Corey Rodriguez, and Orlando Baxter are all Boston comedians. They're all super funny. They've all appeared on national TV shows and things like that. And we created their characters really inspired by their personalities. I don't think anyone could have played any of those other roles.
And I think it's kind of cool too that the actors, their real first names are the names in the script.
That's mostly because it would be we're not smart enough to keep a track otherwise. We've done it the other way and other things, and halfway through we're like, did I just call him Corey and him Orlando, even though they have other names? So we decided, if for no other reason than to simplify it for ourselves, we had to keep their names consistent.
So this is your first feature film?
Yes.
Okay, wow, I really congratulate you. I thought that the acting, the cinematography was just great. And why did you choose black and white film?
It was for a few reasons. One was, once we decided that they should be door-to-door salesmen, that's kind of an old-fashioned profession. There's the 60s documentary Salesmen by the Maysles brothers that was shot around Boston. So there was that connection to an earlier time when door-to-door salesman was more of a thing. I also did it because I like it, and I appreciate the compliment, because we put a lot of effort into making black and white cinematography that would look really nice. And the other reason is it was a little easier. Like, realistically, I was the one behind the camera setting up the lights with assistance from Rob, and you can kind of cheat a little bit with black and white, or at least create more stylized images more easily. And so it was a combination of factors, and pretty quickly it felt like the only way to go.
Mm. Well, I have to say, I watched the film about, maybe 2 months ago. And as I was telling Alberto about the film, I couldn't remember if it was set in contemporary times. So the black and white worked. Yeah. It really made me think, it had to be times gone by. And right. So it definitely works, because I watched it again a few days ago, and it's, I think it's brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. I liked the idea that this would feel timeless. I think particularly, we knew as a low budget movie, it's something that, it's not being released in 2,000 theaters. And so people may not come across it until, a month from now, or 6 months, or a year from now, or 5 years from now. And so I liked the idea of making something kind of timeless, where maybe there would be some of that confusion.
Right.
And also I don't know, I have kind of old-fashioned taste in some ways too. So yeah, it felt fun to make something that's not all about, I don't know, texting or the internet or something like that.
And the music, the choices of the music all fit that bill completely.
Thank you. Yeah, the music is a mix of kind of old-timey, almost like classical and jazz tunes that we were able to source. And then there are some hip hop beats from the great producer Apollo Brown, who's based in Detroit. And he's someone I've been a fan of for a long, long time, and always kind of fantasized that when I finally made a movie, maybe I could use some of his music. And fortunately, he and his label were generous enough to let me use some of his existing beats. So I agree. I think the music really gives it a lot of its character. And those were, in many cases, songs I've been walking around with in my head for a long time, kind of thinking they would sound nice in a movie.
Yeah, perfect combination. So is the film fest, are you on the film festival circuit? Is this the first
screening? This is it. This is the first screening. Yeah, we couldn't be more excited. Yeah. We just kind of put it together right around the time of the submission for this festival. We have a couple other festivals that we have in mind that we're waiting to hear back from. Good. But beyond that, we're excited to do some type of video on demand release. We're still working through exactly what that will be. But one cool thing about working with these comedians is they all have existing fan bases. And so hopefully, they can help promote it, and it's kind of a fun offbeat movie that I think their audiences will like.
Yes, I have to agree. Are you working on any other film now?
No, we finished this so recently. I've started playing with some ideas and writing some things down, and getting back into the swing of more regular work as well, which is no fun. But I'm hoping and excited to sort of go through the full journey with this movie, all the way through releasing it, and then trying to figure out exactly what doors that could open. I do think one thing about this movie, and kind of the unique circumstances of COVID, is everyone was really available. We had the luxury of time in a way where we could shoot it slowly, maybe just a few hours a day, a couple times a week, and sort of keep our costs down that way. So it was a unique circumstance, but we learned a lot from it, and excited to apply those learnings toward hopefully a little bigger scale movie next time.
Was there anything specifically about making this film that jumped out at you, that was a surprise and kind of a challenge to get through?
That's a good question. I think, one thing that the actors talked to me about after that I found interesting, that I wasn't even really thinking about during the course of the movie, but it's been on my mind since, is the difference between, because we've done shorter scale stuff in the past, whether that's like a 2-minute video for the internet or a 7-minute short film or something like that. It's can be easier in those smaller projects to keep track of your character and also to kind of play for the big laughs or like the broad version of your character. Whereas over the course of a full movie, you kind of have to keep in mind the whole arc and all the different nuances of their person, and you have to kind of keep the person feeling real, which sometimes means not leaning into the joke or not being kind of an exaggerated version of that character. And I think, the actors said they found that challenging in the sense that they read the script and they thought they knew the script, but they didn't know the script. They hadn't read it over and over and over and over and really thought about exactly each moment. What are they doing in that moment? Why are they doing it, and that sort of thing. And as director, I listened to that and I realized, yeah, there had been moments where I felt like I was really having to sort of force them in a particular way. And so I think that comes back to the communication that starts even before the project and just making sure that everyone's like really truly on the same page of, what each moment in the script, what we're going for, and that it's part of a comprehensive performance. So I think that that it's not just about the fact that the movie's longer or that it's more scenes, but that you still have to kind of thread it all together and make it feel like one cohesive piece of work. That was definitely an interesting experience and something I've been reflecting on.
So who did your editing? Because I'm sure that was a huge piece.
Yeah, I did.
Thread together.
I did all the editing. Yeah, I love editing. That's one of probably the main things I've done in terms of my commercial work and all that. So that was really fun.
It felt very tight, and I have to say, the judges commented on this film and said, the script in the beginning, you think that it's going to be very predictable. And it's because of the black and white, and you think you're going to like kind of go back in time and you kind of have it figured out what you're going to watch. You never know the direction that this is going to take. It is just so fun. And we don't get a lot of really fun moments in life for the past 4 or 5 years with COVID and politics and all of this. So Salesman was a real breath of fresh air.
Yeah, thank you. That's how we looked at it. We didn't feel equipped to be the ones kind of heading right into the maelstrom and taking on some type of heavy subject matter. I think we were trying to make something entertaining and unusual that if we came across it, it's the kind of thing that we would be excited by.
Exactly. So you're going to be kicking around Boston area for a while?
I mean, hopefully. I love being around Boston. At this point, I have so many friends and family here, and also personal relationships. I would love to see the Boston film community continuing to grow. I mean, that would be great. I don't know. I know I've had plenty of people, especially friends from college who moved to LA right away, and they still swear that's where you got to be, and that I'm being not smart about that. So, at the end of the day, I don't know, but I certainly love being in Boston.
Yeah, that's great. And you said you're going to be doing some commercial stuff now as well. Do you have your own company? Are you working for somebody else?
Yeah, I do sort of a mix of freelance work, and then Rob was one of the co-writers on this project. We have a production company called Tres Gatos, which we do work in Boston and New York, and as much as possible we like to do comedy work, whether that's video for social media, for different brands, performers, people who are doing any type of advertising. We do a lot of short form work for Twitter and YouTube and all kinds of things like that. So it's always a mix, doing the independent work as well, editing and things like that. It's something different all the time, but yeah.
So if anybody's listening in and they need some commercial work done, Tres
Absolutely.
Gatos,
TraceGatos.tv is the website. I think probably our Twitter handle, which I should know, is, or Instagram handle is @TraceGatosTV as well. Yeah, that's right. We do everything from the writing and pitching and ideation process all the way through production and post.
So I'm sure that whoever needs work done, they could certainly get some very creative work from you guys.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Luke, thank you so much for talking with us. We wish you a lot of luck with this film, as well as all your future endeavors.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really honored to be highlighted and to be a part of the festival, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Luke, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Great.
All right. Good night.